Please welcome Dani Tapia.
Wow. Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties, but we are now ready to go. So thank you for your patience. My name is Dani Tapia. Welcome to our third annual Telemundo Academy live session. We are live in Studio G in Telemundo Center. We are also live on Microsoft Teams. So whether you're watching from home or in the studio audience, I want to thank you for being a part of this today. So thank you. Thank you. We have had a fantastic semester for Telemundo Academy where we've delved deep into all things sports, whether it's programming, production, or storytelling. And we want to keep that action going. So as you all know, we save our last session of the semester for our wonderful on-screen talent, which you're going to meet in a second. But before I do so, our talent today, we're all very excited about the World Cup here at Telemundo. You know it's going to be next year in the US, Canada, and Mexico. So we are all things FIFA World Cup here at Telemundo, so we're going to keep that action going with this session. Our two folks that you're going to be hearing from today are part of our wonderful Telemundo Deportes roster. They're also part of a new show called El Pelotazo, which is a fast-paced, very different take on sports shows. We'll take a closer look.
Esto es El Pelotazo, presentado por Xfinity.
Cobertura deportiva 360. Invitados especiales.
Estamos ya en la historia del fútbol mexicano.
Analizaremos todas las polémicas.
El Pelotazo, todas las noches por Telemundo. Esto es El Pelotazo.
There you go. So that's pretty cool. You got a little bit of insight as to what El Pelotazo is like. So you can catch El Pelotazo live Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week at midnight. And it's a very different take on sports programming. We're really changing the way how we cover sports. They do everything from sports highlights to news to the latest commentary. And we're going to hear a little bit more about what it takes to put on a production like that and meet some of the folks that are part of the program. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker, who is a Emmy Award-winning journalist who has over 14 years experience in sports media. He has covered every sport you can think of, whether it's the World Cup, NBA, MLB, NFL, you name it, he's covered it. He is a wealth of information, and he's also the co-host of El Pelotazo. Please help me welcoming Diego Arrioja. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Of course.
We should sit here.
Our final speaker has the distinct honor of playing in the highest level of international soccer there is. As a center back, she has represented her home country of Colombia in the Olympics, as well as the FIFA World Cup, Copa Libertadores. On the club side, she has played in the Champions League and has played for clubs like Sevilla in Spain and Monterrey in Mexico. Now she brings her talents to Telemundo, where she's a sports analyst helping cover everything from Premier League to US soccer, and is going to be a big part of our coverage of the World Cup. Please help me, give it up for Isabella Echeverri. Welcome.
¿Qué tal? Thank you.
I get to pretend to be Jimmy Fallon. I won't be as funny, but... Well, thank you guys for being here. We had a little bit of delay, so I appreciate your patience, but we're here with our students from Telemundo Academy. They're all are studying to be potential professionals in media, and obviously very interested in hearing what you have to say. So before we start, I think, reading your bios and everything, we've talked about how you both have had very successful careers, both on the field and off the field. Is there ever a moment where you think to yourself, oh my God, I get paid to do this? And if so, is there a particular story you'd like to share?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. You guys look very good. I was not expecting this public. So, yes, I do almost every day, if I'm honest. When I was growing up, I loved to watch soccer. I would watch 5 games in a day, and I did that because I love the sport. And I would see every debate show out there, and it was like my best Saturday. I was seeing sports all day. And the first time that I did this was during the Women's World Cup 2023. And I remember getting into the hotel after the first game I covered, and I was like, wow, do I really get paid to talk about soccer? Like, this is amazing. And I thought about my career after being a professional athlete. very different than what I'm doing today, but that feeling of feeling grateful for what I do in most days, it's what's kept me going, and it's what is having me sitting right here today. So yes, that feeling still doesn't go away. Every time I do a game, I'm like, wow, this is how life should be. So yes, I'm very grateful for my job.
For me, well, I was never a professional athlete. I tried, but I didn't make it. Not like Isa, that she played internationally. I'm still trying, but I'm getting older. But for me, I studied journalism. I actually never thought I was going to be a sports journalist, per se, when I was starting my career. I really wanted to go to news. I remember I used to watch like CNN. I was like, I see myself as an anchor one day, or even, going to a war and reporting like serious stuff, right? But in parallel, I always loved sports, in particular soccer. That's the sport that I practice the most. And I never got to pro. But as a lot of kids in the world that they want to be professional soccer players, this is the closest to be a professional soccer player, because I get to talk about, as Isa says, what we love the most. And I always, have jokes from my friends like, hey, you get to do what we talk on WhatsApp or after work. So to me, it's just a privilege. And every day, hosting the show or doing a game or a sports event, I remind myself, like, I'm so grateful and honored to do this. So yeah, the excitement is still there and it's growing. And obviously, what we have coming in the next year is going to be amazing.
Yeah. And you guys can clap. And this is actually a perfect segue to my next question. So, Isa, we mentioned that you competed at the highest levels in soccer, which is a huge honor. So congratulations to you. I'm sure your family's very proud. But can you talk a little bit about that transition from on the field to in front of the camera, and maybe talk about some of the challenges you faced in that transition?
Yeah, so I retired 2 years ago from professional soccer. And when I retired, I was very lost. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Yes, I played in the Olympics. Yes, I played in the World Cup. Yes, I use sports to educate, to study. I have 2 bachelor's degrees and 2 master's degrees, and I was ready to go, and then I didn't know where to go, right? I started working in the Netherlands, so very far away. But then my transition to media was pretty natural, I think. I was always very confident in front of a camera when I was a player. I remember every single journalist asking me after the interview, like, have you studied communications? You should do it. And I was like, no, I'll do business. I'll be a sporting director of a club. But then Telemundo called me and said, do you want to do the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2023? And I was like, why not?
Don't we all
I'm up for that challenge.
Yeah.
I've never done it, but if you are okay with that, then I'll do it. So I said yes, but the first thing on my mind was I need to get ready. So I started, I looked for a communications coach. So I called one of my friends who already worked in media, and I said, dude, I need help. I said yes to this, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. So she gave me this contact, and I started studying communication. And the guy was telling me how I have to separate the right side of my brain to the left because the producer was going to be speaking here, and he gave me exercises. And then he said, watch out what you do with your hands, and you have to learn all of these nonverbal cues that are so important when you are in front of a camera. So I did all my communication skill course, and I was ready to go. But the first day when you sit down or you stand up in front of a camera, or the lights are on, and you're like, oh my God, it is stressful. But thankfully for me, and we were talking about this behind the wall, it is very close to being a soccer player. So I got into the studio, and I felt like I was getting into a stadium, right? And the lights are on, and I felt like the lights were on in stadium. And I talked to myself, and I said, okay, this is go time. This is playing time. You know what you're doing. You've studied. You smile, be confident, and get it over with. So the show started. I did great. Then we had the game. And at first, it was hard. So going back to your question on the challenges, my first big challenge in that particular first game, I remember I had a call from a producer in the middle at halftime, and he's like, when you are with two guys, your tone of voice should be higher. So getting to the second half and speak louder. So I started doing it. I started feeling more confident, and then day by day, it all started to make more sense, and I started to feel more confident looking at the camera, hearing the producer. But as everything in life, everything takes time. You're not gonna be great the first day, but you have to try it. You cannot be fearful of trying it, because if you don't do it, then you're never gonna know if it's good or not. But don't get away from the opportunity after you do it one time. Do it 10 times, try it 10 times, and you'll get better. And if you don't get better, then and you don't feel comfortable, then you know that you tried it, and then you walk away from it. So I'm here after that, 2 years, 3 years after, and now I'm feeling more confident. I get to work with people as experienced as Diego, that I learn a lot from, that I ask a lot of questions. And I think that attitude of always listening and trying to be better and to learn from people around me, it's key.
Yeah, and you have two men with you in the panel, so that training I think came in handy. You were speaking loudly. So, Diego, so we saw a little bit of Pelotazo. It's definitely a very different take on sports shows. It's live 7 days a week. I think personally, a one live show is tough as it is, but 7 days a week at such a high energy. Can you talk a little bit about how you prepare yourself for a show like that? And are there any funny stories that you like to share from behind the scenes in that preparation?
Yeah.
At midnight.
At midnight, yeah. So, well, you did touch a really good point. I think energy levels have to be at its highest, right? And that's challenging. Try to do every single night. I'm a night owl by nature, so I think that helps. But I know it's at midnight. So in terms of preparing myself, and just to touch a bit about the show, that it's a different format. And you were saying about being a night show. It's kind of like a night show in a way. So if you guys watch SNL, we have a segment called Portadas that we talk about like news that happened during the day or in the last couple of days, but with a little bit of sarcasm. So that's the whole goal, to be a bit funny as well. We try, we're not funny every time, at least me. But I think in terms of the energy, it's to me, I have a routine now that I get to the channel like 4, sometimes 5 hours before the show. One of the things I would say that it's a must, and Isa can also attest to that, is preparation, right? Preparation is everything, especially because this is such a hard position to feel that you're one of the presenters, and there's a lot of people out there that want to be in your position. So for me, the step one is read, and read. Even though you think you know a lot about sports, you can always learn something new. So that's always my take on how to prepare. So we'll read the rundown and make sure that I have all my stories right, and also some punchlines that I want to say. Also, one of the things that I think it's really important and unique about live television is that you get to do it. You can improve every single time that you're on air, and it's gonna turn differently every time. And also, it's a humbling experience, because when you think, oh yeah, I'm doing a great job, I did a really good show, but then the next day something happens and it's completely different, right? So it's something that you have to constantly work on. And I was joking, like how I prepare myself, like I meditate, and again, you should meditate. I don't do it, but it's good to, because you're nervous before a show. I think everybody feels like that before going on camera, or even taking an exam or talking in public. But try to do something that relaxes you. One of the things that I also do is like listen to music when I'm preparing my rundown in my desk. I like electronic music, so I'll put some electronic music on, and then that's like my flow. But I would always recommend something that you like or takes you out of the work environment, and try to get like that better version of yourself.
If I may add there,
Please.
I think over preparation is key. Not because you need to know everything, but sometimes when you're on air, your mind goes blank, and then you need to have the resources to go and find that other information that you have stored in your brain, right? So I think that part is key, because a lot of the times you think you're ready, you have your line, but then maybe the person right in front of you asks something different, and you have to react to that. And sometimes you don't know what to say, and you have to be ready to be able to tell the story that you wanted to tell, maybe in different words, or switching to a different story that you already have because you were prepared enough to be there and speak about something else.
Yeah, and this wouldn't be a Telemundo Academy session if I didn't ask this question. So, we have a room full of aspiring, not all of them want to be journalists on camera like you all, but they want to work behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, all different aspects of journalism. Do you have, from your experience, what are some of the essential skills that folks to do what you do that they need to sharpen, and kind of what advice you have for how to sharpen those skills? Either.
I'll start. Well, I think it's a really good question, because as you guys know, media is changing constantly, and especially over the last 10, 15 years has changed a ton, right? When I was studying journalism, social media kind of existed. It was Twitter coming up, Facebook, but it's not like it is right like nowadays, and how everything there's a lot of creators out there, right? And they're being pretty successful as well. So my recommendation in terms of how to prepare, even if you're on camera, I always like to know what happens behind the scenes. So I would recommend for you guys to know how to edit a video, right? Also practice obviously on camera, but all the tools that we have out there currently with social media, it's so important that you guys have all the resources there, and also you have a lot of examples nowadays. So I think being able to be like a video journalist, if I may, that would be key. Learn how to produce, how to edit, and how to be on camera would be the three main things. And also be storytellers, because nowadays that's what people want, like stories that you can relate to, right? Again, media is changing, and I think that's what, to me, it's been evolving in a good way, that we are trying to be ourselves in front of a camera, or not try to be something that we're not. So I would recommend to be yourselves in that sense as well.
Yeah, I think storytelling is everything, right? How you tell a story, it can be the most boring story out there, but if you put some emotion and you know how to tell it, it will completely change your perception of it. So yes, storytelling, but also understanding who you are and how you communicate is really important. We are all, now more than ever, we all have like a personal brand, if I might say. We all have our own way to communicate, our own way to dress up, our own way to tell stories. So I would encourage you guys to sit down with yourself. Sometimes we spend a lot of time with other people, but we don't spend a lot of time with ourselves. So sit down and write down, who are you? What is it that you want to communicate? Do you want to say it with passion? Do you want to say facts? Do you only want to share data? What is it that makes you want to tell a story? What is it that makes you unique, right? And when you understand, maybe it is really hard, it's not easy, but when you understand who you are and what you want to communicate, then it's also understanding what are the platforms that you need to communicate that message on, and in what tone. So let's say LinkedIn, right? Then you want to be super professional. You want to tell stories about how you have overcome different things, how you see yourself in the future. But then on TikTok, it's more fun. But on Instagram, it's really different, right? So you need to understand how to tell those stories in a different way. And with that comes the different type of content that you want to create. So in my mind, or in my eyes, there's two type of content. If we're talking about social media and going outside of the television space, that maybe there's more freedom there. Two types of content that are key. One is the organic content, so what you want to tell in your voice, your stories, and maybe that content will not get viral, but you will connect with the people that you want to connect with. Then the other type of content is the trendy content, right? Is the content that everybody will share with their friends, that you will comment on, and that content is more on what is going on social media that you can hang on to and take advantage of it, and that will get you reach. That will get you to more people that maybe won't follow you, but that will send your message across in a different way. So nowadays, in the digital space, followers, I don't think they don't mind as much. Like before, 5 years ago, it was all about how many followers you had. Now it's how many people you can reach and how many people are actually engaging with your content. So after you identify yourself, you identify your tone, you identify what platforms, and you mix and play with those two type of contents to be able to communicate your message. And I think the digital space is a great place to practice. Again, don't do it once and stop, right? Because you see 20 views and you're like, oh my God, I suck, right? No, do it 10 times, do it 15 times. And that will help you get more practice, get better when you have maybe a job interview for a TV station. Then you know what it is to feel in front of a camera, you know how you speak, you know your tone, you know how you react to things, and that will help you land a job in the TV space if that's what you want.
Well, thank you. Let's switch our gears up a little bit, talk a little bit about a sport, an event, the World Cup next year, little event there. Could you, and this question is for both of you, could you talk about what covering the World Cup means personally for you, especially that it's here in the U.S., Canada, Mexico, what that means for you both personally and professionally, covering such an event?
Yeah, this is going to be a Telemundo ad, but this is the biggest sport event that we're going to have in the U.S. ever. Not only because it's the biggest World Cup, but also in this new digital era, it's going to be so different, including obviously the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, first time in 3 countries, with 104 games, if I'm not mistaken, more national teams also coming, and we have probably the last time we're gonna see Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo playing for their own country, and also the U.S. national team representing probably the best version of themselves and the best generation they ever had. It's going to be a massive event. And also I think soccer is growing in this country. It keeps growing. And I think this is a good test of how the passion is currently at and the levels of passion in soccer in the US. In terms of professionally, it's going to be my 4th World Cup. It's going to be different because also I know I'm doing a TV show, but also there's going to be some live events are going to the stadium. So I still don't know the plans, and also I hope a good share, but also I don't know. But it's going to be really exciting. We're going to get to travel, but also it's going to be the biggest challenge in my career in that sense. Covering a World Cup it's unique. As a journalist, I think it was always my dream, and that's how I started in this business, because I actually was part of a national contest for a sports TV station back in 2014. And I got to participate nationwide. I went to a casting, and I ended up participating in that show and in that contest, and I ended up winning the opportunity to go to Brazil 2014. And since then, that's what I've been, started. So in that sense, World Cup, that's why it's so close to me. And also, I've been just watching soccer since I can remember. So it's definitely the biggest event that we're gonna have.
And without being biased, who do you got winning the World Cup?
Oof, that's tough. As a Mexican, I was going to say Mexico, obviously not. But hopefully they do a good, el quinto partido, we'll see. I don't know at this time. Colombia has a good team, for sure. I think, Argentina, they're favorites. I don't know if they're going to repeat. It's really hard to repeat back-to-back. But they're showing they have a really, really solid team. So I would put Argentina there. I would put Spain. To me, Spain has one of the best new generations out there, and they show it in the Euros. And also, don't forget about France as well, that it's a really talented generation with Mbappé and also with experienced players. So I would put my 3 cards there: Argentina, Spain, and France.
I like how you hedged your bets, but Isa, for you, same question about the impact of World Cup covering it, and then you can give us your prediction.
I think Spain will win
it.
I think Spain will win it. I think Argentina, it's really hard to go back to back, as you said. They do have a great team, but I see Spain winning it. hopefully Mexico can do a good thing.
Yes.
We don't know. You don't know, but hopefully. What's the question again?
The covering the World Cup. There's
yeah. It's a dream come true. I play the World Cup and I cover one Women's World Cup. This is going to be my first ever covering a men's World Cup, not going. I went to the Qatar final where Argentina won. Best and biggest game in history. But that's another story. It's a dream come true. We will be in every stadium, so it means a lot of traveling. I've never done a game in the stadium. So every game that I cover, so what I do, guys, so there's a bit of context here, is I'm a color analyst, so I analyze the game, and we cover Premier Leagues and all the FIFA tournaments, all the World Cups, but we do mostly things here from the studio. So I don't know what's going to happen in this next year. Maybe I'll go to a game, but if not, that will be the first time that I'm on stadium covering a game. So that will be very exciting. I'll be nervous. It's going to be a great experience, but it's also, I see it as one of the biggest opportunities in my career. Telemundo is opening that door for me and being able to be on the games and watching the games and covering the game. But it's also going to be this massive movement around the biggest sporting event in the planet. So it's also a big opportunity for people like you guys to do more content around it, for me as my personal brand to have different deals around it. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be really tough because we're gonna have to travel a lot. I was talking behind this wall with them that preparing those games will be really hard because I can't prepare the group phase, but then you don't know who's gonna go through, and I take my time preparing the games. So I guess I won't be sleeping a lot during that month, but it's great.
I don't think a lot of us are going to be sleeping, but I just want to make sure we're going to be opening up for Q&A soon. LJ, are we good with time? Okay, I'm going to ask one more question. We'll have a little fun, and we'll open up the Q&A. What sporting in history, if you could cover any event that's happened, knowing what you know now, would you want to cover and why?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Doesn't have to be soccer.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Probably I'm like stretching too much, but probably the first Olympics in history in Greece would be different and would be exciting and getting to cover it. I'm sure probably there were no journalists back then or like, somebody covering the game, but that would be really interesting to see how it all started. And it's also one of my goals. I never covered an Olympic Games in my career, so that's also one of my goals in the next few years, definitely. So I would put Greece.
Well, our bosses are watching on TV, so we can make it happen. So
there you go.
Now they know. For me, I think the Women's World Cup final in the 99. So the 99ers when the U.S.
women's
won that penalty kick.
Mia
Hamm taking her shirt off. And yeah, I think that's a before and after for women's soccer in general, how sports view women. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll cover that game.
And I don't think you guys were alive.
Maybe.
That World Cup, no. So that was
look it up on YouTube. It's really
nice. After they won, was it Mia Hamm or somebody else who took off her jersey in celebration like the men do, and it was like a scandal, like that she did that. But men do it all the time, so it was a historic moment. But thank you. Well, we're gonna open it up to questions. I hope you guys came prepared with some good ones. You have two fantastic speakers here with a wealth of experience. So we'll open it up. And if you do raise your hand, we'll get please say your name and what school you're from, and you can ask your question. We got one up here in the front.
The mic is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Hi, I'm Ruth Castellano, and I'm from Slam Palm Beach. And I wanted to ask you, how do you show yourself out there in an environment full of men?
Great question. Yes, I do work mostly with men, which sometimes can be intimidating for a woman. But I think nowadays we have all the tools to get into a room full of men and feel confident about ourselves. I think if you are prepared enough, you can do whatever you want. So I think it's a matter of actually convincing not convincing yourself, but talking to yourself about it and getting there with all of the energy, with a smile on your face, but also being prepared. Because when you're able to do that, then everyone around you will feel that they respect you. You'll make yourself respected, and then you can do whatever you want. And you're gonna feel, for me at least, from my experience, I feel men are great allies where I am. They help me a lot. When I ask questions, they're there to help me, to answer my questions. And I've never felt like they've overlooked me. So I think it's more maybe something we feel or something that is from the past. But I do see a lot of women now getting into different positions that are gonna make it a lot easier for you when it's your time.
Yeah. Diego, do you want to add anything? I know it's a women-centric question.
No, but I was going to say also men, we play a key role on this. And I think, as I was saying, also how media is evolving, but I think for the good. And in that sense, being allies is so important, and also respect women in their positions as well. So to me, and that's always that I've been carried from my entire life, but I do see like media in that sense. It's tough, right, out there, and being in front of the camera, and also the media industry by itself, that historically it's been, in a way, but I think we get the opportunity, and you guys who are young, to shape how you want to see it and how you want to consume. So.
Great. Thank you. I saw a hand raised on this side. Okay, we'll start with you in the front, and then you back there in the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please. Your name and your school.
Hi, I'm Zina Ibarreto. I'm with Telemundo Academy, and my question is, what's your advice for finding your way within the industry? Like, I know there's a lot of decisions that go with getting to the place that you are. So how do you make those decisions within your industry? Go
ahead. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think well, first of all, it's, you decide to study, let's say, journalism or media. It's not an easy career. I'm gonna start with that, because you have to be consistent. I would say consistency also, when we were talking, Anissa was talking about creating content, right? If you're not consistent, then you're not gonna make it, right? Because you can do a viral video, but then if you don't keep doing it, then people are gonna forget about you, especially nowadays how we consume content. So I would say consistency is key, knowing also what you want, and also putting yourselves small or reachable goals that you can look into 1, 2 years, 3 years. And in that sense, you can see, okay, I accomplished this, and this in the last 2 years, and then my next goal is gonna be this, right? Or covering a live event. But I think with those, I would say, baby steps, and making sure your journey and you're tracking all your targets and your goals, is gonna help you make those decisions, right? And again, it's hard out there in terms of, I would say, not only in media, but like finding a job. So it's about how you present yourself as well, and how you prepare yourself. So I would say, in that sense, always know what you want, be confident, definitely, and go for it.
I would say, don't be afraid to take different opportunities, because sometimes, as I told you guys before, it's like I didn't know where to go. I still maybe don't know where my place in the industry is, right? But you have to be able to, one, say yes, but two, make the call, send the email, reach out, put yourself out there. Opportunities won't get to you. And like, I did receive the call for Telemundo, but I worked for years as a professional player to be able to do that. And I built a network. So I think, especially nowadays, with how much we depend on the media side of things, and the connections are more digital, it's hard to make human connections. And I do believe the network is everything. So take advantage of your opportunity, of your school, or where you do your internship. Go and say hi to the boss, and go and make friends, right? Because those people are going to be the ones that will help you land a job, and maybe you'll feel confident in that job and you like it and you'll do it the rest of your life, but maybe you don't, and then you jump into another thing. But don't be afraid. Network a lot. I cannot emphasize more on this. Friends, connection, people are going to be key in your development. It's not just about creating content. It's about reaching out, feeling confident to make a call, feeling confident to send 100 emails, and just don't be afraid to do it.
Great advice. We have our next question up here.
Hi, my name is Daniela Perez, and I'm from Slam Palm Beach. My question is for the both of you. What was your emotion when you first played in front of a camera?
Okay. Hi, Daniela. Thanks for the question. I think it's a mix of emotions. It's like you feel ready, but then the lights are really, really bright, and you feel hot because you're nervous, and you start sweating, and you don't know what's gonna come, and then there's 4 different cameras around you, and you don't know what to look. So it's a bit of, okay, here we go. You are nervous, you are excited, you know what you're doing, you know what to do. But I think it's a different feeling every time you get in front of a camera. Some days you're more relaxed, some days you're more nervous. But for me, it's a matter of smiling, taking a deep breath, and saying, okay, you're ready for it. And I think that is the same that I did when I was playing soccer. So yeah, whenever you are in a stressful situation, your breathing is the most important part for everything. So just take a deep breath and know that you're ready for whatever it is that is coming your way.
Yeah, and also meditate. No, just kidding. But I think breathing definitely, it's the most important piece. So I remember the first time I was on camera, it's terrible. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but hopefully it's not. But I started small. So I started from local TV in Seattle, in Univision, competition of Telemundo. But I started there, and I built myself up to getting to the contest nationwide, then being in a network, and now obviously Telemundo. But I think even though if it's small or local TV, I was really nervous. I didn't know what to do with my hands. So the hands are also, you get to learn how to just be yourself. You just be yourself when you're talking to someone else. But obviously when you have a camera in front of you, you get nervous and you cannot do that. But I would say definitely also just try to be relaxed before going on camera, and also try to just talk loud, clear. And my mom would always say when I was a kid, when I was saying something and she couldn't understand, she would say, vocaliza. So try to open your mouth to speak out. So
yeah. The hands is clutch.
The hands, guys.
That's why I'm holding this pen, just might hold on to the pen. Do we have any more questions on this? We'll give somebody else a chance, and whoever has the mic, please.
Hi, my name is Sarah from the Telemundo Academy. I was wondering, how do you guys manage your daily life with the midnight show and abnormal working hours, and also having to travel to cover different events?
We were just talking about that backstage.
It's been definitely an adjustment. It's not easy, I have to say, having a night show, because you also have to, go on with your daily life, right? Obviously, and covering events. For example, today I'm here. I have a show tonight. I have an interview after this with an athlete. So you have to. One of the things I would definitely say is I need my beauty sleep, but I need to sleep at least 7 hours. That's my target. I try. I don't do it every time, but it's key that you need to rest. Otherwise, you're not able to function properly. Obviously, when there's big events like the World Cup, you don't sleep. As Isa was saying, we probably won't sleep, and it's true. We won't sleep a lot of hours because we're gonna be traveling, we're gonna be covering events. But that's I would say a chunk of a month and a half, 2 months that you can dedicate to that. But I think in a day-to-day, having a night show, definitely having your rest, no matter the time it is, and also being able to exercise every day if I can, at least a little bit, because that makes me feel energized and also makes me happy to go for a run, go to the gym, play soccer. Well, I haven't played soccer here since I moved to Miami, but I need to find a team. So if you guys know, let me know. I'm old, but I'm still good. But yeah, so that's how to get used to it. And also Isa, she's been coming at least once you come to our show, like once a week. Yeah, you love it, no?
I love the show. Yes, for me, it's. I'm gonna use something that I used to use when I was a professional athlete. So performance in any capacity is like a table. Let's say a table has 4 patas. ¿Cómo se dice?
Legs.
Legs. Okay. And if one leg is not there, then the table will fall, right? And for me, the legs of the table are sleep, eating well, hydrate, and what else? Sleep, eating well, exercising, key. So if you are able to identify those legs of your table, then you will perform well, and you have to adjust depending on the time of the show. Like tomorrow morning, I have to be here at 4:30 a.m. So at 4:30 a.m., I have to be here because I have to do my makeup, and I have 2 different games later in the morning. So tomorrow, let's say tonight, I'll go to sleep earlier, right? I usually go to the gym every morning, but I cannot do that tomorrow. So how to adjust my schedule, but to be able to check on every thing that I want to do. So after the games, I'm finished at 10. Then I bring my snack because I don't want to eat the snack elsewhere. And then I plan my day so I can go to the gym, and then I can get home and I can prepare for the games I have the next day. So it's a lot of time management, but it's easier when you know your legs, but no, when you know your priorities, so yes, my priorities are very clear, and if I don't work out, then I'll be kind of off the rest of my day. If I don't eat well, then I know I will be off as well. And sleeping, and also like drinking a lot of water, because sometimes time goes past you and you don't have your water and you're just drinking coffee, and that's not good for you or your sleep. So yeah, identifying those priorities and being able to navigate on the different times, so you're able to do it all if you can.
Yeah, and your table may have 2 legs or 3 legs. It doesn't have to be 4. So identify those legs, and it'll work. We're really nailing this metaphor. So
yes, legs.
We have one more. We have another question here up front with the green shirt.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Max Bermudez from Pinecrest North Preparatory, and I was just wondering, the media industry always makes you work with a lot of people that you probably have never met or know in your life. So how do you tackle those kind of challenges, with teamwork wise?
That's a great question.
That's a really good question. It's for example the El Pelotazo show that we started.
March
10th. March 10th. It's gonna be 2 months. Yeah. I knew anyone except Pablo, who's my colleague, my co-host, that we worked together during the World Cup. But the rest, I never met them before at all. So it's interesting, that question because, the media gives you that opportunity, not only with the people that you work with in production, right? Your producers, your editors, but also with talent or people or guests that you get into the show that you never met them or see them before. It's about how you connect with people. So looking, to me, always it's key to look at eye to eye, so you get that connection. As human beings, it's important, and also makes that guest feels comfortable that you're speaking to them, right? And to me, it's always been also when I do interviews with athletes, is how can I connect outside of the athlete or persona that this man or woman is. I try to connect at the human level, and start with things that what you like to eat, or you watch, I don't know, this movie, etc. Something that would break the ice. In that way, you get that authentic connection, and then you can get into obviously the professional questions. But to me, it's always how to break that ice and being able to connect.
Yeah, I also think it's a good question, because it's not only the talent that you work, like people in front of the camera, but it's also the camera guys, and it's also the production team. And a lot of the times, I won't lie, I see a lot of people here in Telemundo that I've seen multiple times. I don't know their names, right? and I feel really bad about it. But for me, it's how do I get to a point that I'm smiling and making people feel comfortable when I go and say hi, even though I don't remember their names. Sorry, guys. But it's a matter of how you present yourself. If you go out there and you're like, good morning, then it's not as good as if you get here. It's 4 a.m. We're all sleepy. But then if you're here and you say, hey, good morning, how are you? Then the energy of the room changes completely. So I think you need to be also in charge of what energy you're bringing into the room. And that way, people will connect with you in a different level. And I think you should start with the small talk, and then maybe with people that you see more days, then if you're able to open up about yourself, then it's going to be easier to connect with them. Let's say el show El Pelotazo, as I was telling you guys, I work out every morning. So, but when I have to go to El Pelotazo at 12 a.m., I cannot work out in the morning, like at 6 a.m., because I fall asleep at 2. So whenever I get to El Pelotazo, I'm like, guys, how do you guys do it? It's so hard for me because I work out. And then if I'm able to share a bit more on who I am as a person in a personal level, then Diego will feel more open to also share, and people around us will also feel more confident and are more comfortable with the conversation. So yeah, take charge of the energy that you bring into a room full of people that you maybe don't know, maybe you've seen them a lot of times, but it's also on you and not so much on the people around you.
I think we have time for 2 more questions. I know we have one on this side.
Hi, my name is Ashlyn Davis, and I'm from I Matter Middle High. And I wanted to ask you if you could go back to when you first started at Telemundo or even before, what would have you? Is there anything that you would have done differently?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, a lot of things. I think everyone. when we look back, what would change? Probably, I think. I would definitely do, when I was studying, I only did one internship in radio, for example. And I remember when I started doing TV, that it was in local TV before this contest, I didn't feel prepared enough. And I knew I would say people that I was working with or my competition for that show, they had more experience than me, more years on TV. So I would definitely, if I look back, would do more internships in terms of trying more things besides radio. So that would be one of the things that I would change. And then, I don't know, I'm trying to think other things that I would change. Maybe starting younger, I guess. There's always, if I could. And also, yeah, maybe a good one is do more online content, knowing that how it is now, how it's shaped. I would be probably a famous influencer, but I'm not, So maybe that's a good
comedian.
Or a comedian. So.
But for me, it's, again, network. My grandma says it's better to have friends than money. And I always looked at or hear that phrase, and I was like, yes, grandma, yes. But now I feel that if I've seen the value of those relationships before, maybe I would have gotten into different places or having more people to rely on to look for opportunities or to grab a coffee with or whatever. Especially for me as a former professional athletes, we have a superpower. People want to hear us talk. People want to sit down with us. People want to know what's going on with us. So if maybe looking back when I was still playing, if I was able to meet more people because of the position that I was in back then, it would have made a lot of change. So that would be one thing that I would change. And I think that's why I told you guys before how important it is to make human connections and to actually talk to people and to build a strong network around you.
Wow. We have 2 questions left. Apologies for running short on time. Back here.
Hi, my name is Fatima Perez from I Matter Academy. My question is, who or what has inspired you to get to where you are today?
Hello, Fatima. For me, it's my family. Especially, I just told you, my grandma. Why? Because she never... Like when I started playing soccer back in Colombia, I was the only girl. People were bullying me all the time. They were calling me a marimacho. I don't know how to translate that. Okay, yes. Everything seemed like a really tough road for me because of the choice that I did playing sports. And I remember getting back home to my mom and grandma that are like the two most amazing figures in my life. And they telling me, "Are you a tomboy?" And I'm like, "No, Mom." She's like, "Then go back again and play soccer again and go prove them that you are a girl and you can play soccer." So I think when I was growing up, they had a huge influence on how I present myself and how confident I am. I can always rely on them for the good or the bad. And having someone that believes in you makes you believe more on yourself. So having those role models in my life really helped shape who I was as a former player, but also now working on TV and having the responsibility to open more doors for people like you, right? So I don't take my job for granted in that way. And as they inspire me, I try to inspire others to be able to feel as confident, to be able to feel authentic in their bodies, in their minds, on who they are, and to use my platform and my voice to be able to help in any way I can through my honesty. So yeah, having those role models and becoming a role model myself has been an incredible path, and I wouldn't be here without my family.
That's inspirational, definitely.
We're gonna
Thank
clip
you so
that.
for sharing.
We're gonna clip that
That's really good. For me, I would say also my family, my mom and my dad, definitely, and my brother. I have an older brother. I think he pushed me since I was 18. I moved out of Mexico and never came back to this day. But he really pushed me to pursue my dreams, or even getting out of my comfort zone. So I would say I would always be thankful for that, because ever since then I haven't looked back. Obviously I go back to visit my family, but that's what it shaped me the most. When I finished high school, I went to Europe for a year and I worked there to do a backpacking trip. I worked as a waiter, any work that I could find, but to me it was just to find my purpose of what I wanted to do in life. I knew I wanted to study communications. I ended up looking for a university in Spain, and I ended up studying journalism. But that really shaped my mindset of how you can actually get out of your house and look for opportunities. And I wasn't wealthy, or my family was never like wealthy in that sense. So I really had to find my way to make my dreams come true. So during my entire career, I worked also as a bartender for 5 years in Spain. And I think in that sense, it's always been, I'm thankful for the opportunity, because if I had that, or if I have everything comfortable, I would probably never, get out of my comfort zone. So I would encourage everyone to get out of your comfort zone, because that's going to push you to be better or to find yourself in that sense. And, to Isa's point, to me also, I know I'm here, but also we always ask ourselves as an adults too, hey, what am I going to do next, or what's my next step? So in that sense, it's always good for you to remind yourself, okay, I'm here because I've done this, but also where am I going to go next? And in terms of role models on media, related to sports, growing in Mexico, I used to watch this show called Los Protagonistas in TV Azteca. And there's this really famous journalist called José Ramón Fernández, who is really famous in Mexico. And I always remember, I want to be in that table to, be able to debate against him, because I didn't like him when I was, growing up. But I think that's one of the inspirations to and now having this opportunity being in Telemundo, it's just I still knock myself on. This is real. So yeah.
Thank you. So I think we have one more question.
Hi, my name
Take
is
us
Ryan.
home.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm from Telemundo Academy, and my question is, how do you balance? I mean, you talked about priorities, but how do you balance like personal relationships, even like with a significant other or like family and friends? I mean, you do this because you like it, but how much like passion do you have to like not spend time with people that don't understand how much you love what you do? I think it's like kind of hard for them to make them understand, and for you to even spend time with them. So how do you balance that kind of?
Well, it is a tough question. For me, I left Colombia when I was 16 years old. Now I'm 30, and I've been living abroad for a lot of years now, if you can count. I never went back to live with my family. And I remember the first day that I went to college in Ohio, and when I left home, my mom said, "You're never coming back." And I said, like, right, Mom, I'm coming back, right? I never thought that was going to be true. I go back to Colombia because my family is a big part of who I am, but she knew somehow that my future was elsewhere. At first, those first years were really tough, and you guys were very small, but before having WhatsApp and FaceTime and Uber and so many different technological tools, it was really hard to communicate with your loved ones, right? Nowadays, it is easy. And I think if you know your priorities, then you are always going to have time to do whatever it is that you want to do. So for me, yes, I'm very busy going to the gym and eating well and going to the shows and going to El Pelotazo and then waking up 4 a.m. But I always have maybe a 30-minute ride home where I can call my mom and connect with her. But I also have a few days off where I said, okay, Mom, can you come? Do you want to come? Let's see each other. Or I can have a call with my grandma during lunchtime. And yes, we're far away, but I'm taking time to build on those personal relationships. So as I said before, and it's something that I try to repeat a lot, you do a lot of things for other people. It's like you do a lot of things for your job, for your coworkers, but when do you take time for yourself to reflect, to think, to write your goals, to breathe, to meditate, to do yoga? But you also have to consider when do you take time to talk to your family and go out for lunch with your family, because those are very important too. It's not only about preparing for the show. It's not only about going to the show. It's about understanding if your family is a big part of your life, then you know which time slots on your day you can actually talk to them and connect with them. So make your family, of your friends or your partner, something that you consider when you plan your day or your next day, and actually do it. Because I think we all go to bed at night and say, okay, I'm going to the gym tomorrow and I'm doing this and this and this and this, and then you wake up and you don't do any of it. So actually plan it, do it, and execute it, so it will become easier every day.
Yeah, this is a really good question, tough for me in particular, because with my parents, I try to talk to them a few times a week. Definitely. I moved to Miami, as I was telling you, for the show. I used to live in Seattle. I have a family in Seattle, so I'm a dad. So I have 2 kids and a wife. So I go back every 2 weeks for the weekend, 3 days. So that's definitely a big change, right, in my day-to-day life. And also I've always been like super present with my kids. So definitely what is saying of how, schedule FaceTime calls with my kids every day when I'm even here preparing for the show. It's always, to me, essential that they can get to see me. And when I go back, I'm fully present in that sense. So it's one of the things that I'm still adjusting. I'm still, learning, because it's definitely a change. But in terms of that question of being away from your family, it's something that through my career, I've been gone in important moments. So it's how, when you're back, are present to your loved ones. And to me, that's the most important thing, because obviously you're going to miss with this. I'm not saying like every career is the same, but to me, I missed some important events. And there's actually a funny story. So in Russia 2018, I was covering the World Cup with, I won't say the name, with the competition, but I had to go back. I had to shorten my trip because my son was, was born, right? So I'm thankful that I got there because it was like 22 hours before my son was born. And yeah, I mean, I ended up my coverage, but I was grateful in that. Those are decisions that to this date I would never change because I was there, for my family. So to me, it's always, be present when you can and give your best. So.
Fantastic. And that's interesting you mentioned family. My wife is actually watching the live stream now, so I wanted to give her a shout out. So that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank all of you for being here today. It's been a fantastic semester. I think we really ended on a high note. Before we wrap, could you let them know where to find you on social?
Yeah, I was about to do that. If I can help in any way, guys, connect with me. You can find me on social at Isabella, that's Isabella, Echeverri, that's Echeverri 11. And then on LinkedIn, it's Isabella Echeverri Oli, I think, because of being an Olympian, you get to use that. So that you connect with me. Please, please connect. If I can help, support in any way. Now you have a friend here. Now you have someone else in your network you can reach out. So please do so.
Awesome. I don't have the Ole, by the way, but I'll get to cover hopefully in a few years on Olympic Games. No, for me, Diego Arrioja. I'm also in all, I think, social media out there, except Snapchat, I think. I don't know. But I'm, in LinkedIn, Diego Arrioja, same in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. But also, I'm open to talk to anyone because if I go back in your shoes, it's really good to get to talk to someone who's already in the business. I didn't have that opportunity when I was, your age. So definitely I'm open to talk, to give recommendations and to help in any way I can. So yeah, follow us and connect.
Yes.
And reach out.
Yes.
Okay.
And we do have a special message from somebody who couldn't be here today, but before we play the video, I want to please put your hands together in thanking the crew that's working behind the scenes, making sure it's together. It really can't be done without them, so thank you all for your support. Obviously, Lady Joe, happy birthday again. And we can play that video. We invited him, he wasn't able to be here today, but he did want to send a special message to close out the event.
Hola, estudiantes de Telemundo Academy. Soy Andrés Cantor y estoy emocionado de compartir un mensaje con ustedes mientras nos preparamos para la Copa Mundial de la FIFA 2026. Telemundo es el hogar de la Copa Mundial donde los sueños se hacen realidad y la pasión por el deporte brilla con más fuerza. En mi carrera he tenido la suerte de vivir momentos inolvidables y emocionantes en el mundo del fútbol. Recuerden, cada gran viaje comienza con un solo paso. Manténganse activos, trabajen duros y crean siempre en su potencial. El mundo deportivo está esperando su voz única.
Thank you, everybody. We want to take a picture, selfie, while the students in the back. Everyone stay seated for a second.